Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis Cohen. Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. So glad you're with me. It's inevitable that you will encounter times in your life where you feel pushed to your breaking point and want to give up, thinking that you can't possibly survive the challenges that you're facing. But you really can. How can I be certain of that? Well, simply because I know that none of us are put here on this earth to suffer. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that the trials and tribulations that you've gone through or are going through now are going to carry you to a place in your heart, mind, and soul that you never could have possibly imagined. That's if you choose to get back on your feet and keep walking forward. But if you don't choose to be resilient, you will pay a far heavier price by choosing not to deal with what is being presented to you. Les Brown is a famous motivational speaker. He has perfected the craft, and if you have ever listened to him, he's on YouTube and he's got all these programs about how to become a great speaker, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He's so powerful. Among the many gut-punching, stop-in-your-tracks quotes from him is, if you do what's easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what's hard, your life will be easy. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? But if you don't understand that, that's what I'm going to talk about today. If you think you can't handle the hand that life deals you, then listen to this. None of us could ever imagine the challenges that we're going to face in our lives, and each and every time after we move through a challenge and have arrived on the other side of them, 10 out of 10 times, I guarantee you, each of us has spoken words that have hinted to the doubt that we had in ourselves to make it that far and not be taken down entirely. I know I felt that, and I know I'm not alone in feeling that. It's a dreadful feeling to feel like you just can't get over something. It can feel like you've been hit out of left field when you suddenly get fired from a job you've had for many years and don't know where you're going to find work. Or your spouse tells you suddenly and without warning that they want a divorce. Or you lose a child, or your home, or you lose all your money. Or you're hanging on to life because your body has become victim to a horrible disease. None of us want to ever go through those things, but they happen. And they happen all of the time to everyone around the world. So where does that leave you in the scheme of things when life is tough? If you underestimate yourself, you immediately give the problem the upper hand. I've spoken many times in numerous podcast episodes about mindset and how important having a powerful one is to dealing with life's challenges. In fact, a most recent podcast that I did called The 4 Keys of Massive Self-Growth, I specifically talk about this mindset and its value and importance. Sometimes we do have to think on our feet, and we don't have time to think for a while about how we're going to approach a problem. We just have to act and act fast. But most other times, we actually do have the opportunity to give ourselves a breather and to take a break before we act, so we can process, develop a plan that's proactive, and then act. No matter what situation you're in, if you aren't of the mindset that you have what it takes to deal with challenges, let alone the belief that you will overcome and find a way to reap the benefits of overcoming, you'll fail miserably, and you will be left feeling hopeless and helpless. Basically, you consider yourself completely resourceless, And the truth is, and I mean this, from the top of my head down to the tiny bit of my toe, none of us are completely resourceless. It is our thoughts and beliefs that determine how resourceful we are and can be. So you must develop the mindset that you will do whatever it takes to overcome anything that you experience before you can actually overcome it, or you will leave yourself high and dry, abandoned to the core. How do you develop the strong core belief and mindset about yourself comes from one thing and one thing only: an emphatic and indestructible commitment to yourself that you will. Napoleon Hill wrote an amazing book back in the early 1900s. I think it's 1924. Not exactly sure of the date. It's a book that I've had for years. I read it. I've read it probably 10, 15 times, and it never gets old. So to this day, it's sold millions of copies around the world because back when he wrote it, he knew the secret to creating and manifesting anything that he wanted. And the book is called Think and Grow Rich. While he umbrellaed this idea under wealth and prosperity, he wasn't singling out money manifestation. Rather, he was focusing more on internal wealth and personal prosperity. If you know what I'm talking about, then you're well on your way to developing this magical and powerful mindset of being able to overcome any obstacle in your way of getting what you want, to dealing with whatever shit show seat life has assigned you. Pretending to deal with life is easy, but ultimately, when you sweep things under the rug, dive into addictive behavior to mask the pain, or attempt to deal with things in any other way than directly, you will single-handedly cement your feet into the ground and be unable to move forward. Developing what's called a winning mindset, as the one that I've talked about, means that you commit to yourself that no matter what happens, you will take power over it and you will move forward. Much of what we experience in life is at the hands of others, and all of the other experiences we create consciously or unconsciously so that we can deal with our shit. You will never be able to avoid the pain that comes from our earth school. I wish I could. I think we all wish we could. How do I know? Because when you stuff shit down, deep down inside, and avoid dealing with what you need to deal with, you stack up those emotions in your body. The energy stays. And in your mind, you will forever be reminded. In fact, you will be haunted, I promise you, by what you don't deal with. Those things don't ever go away unless you become the captain of your fate. One very significant way of dealing head-on with your seemingly insurmountable challenges, whether they are in the past and there's still remnants of them, or you're currently dealing with some very, very difficult things, is not to take any action except to fully and completely surrender your control to a higher power. I was just guided to read Psalm 31 from the Christian Bible. Forgive me for not knowing the exact Bible version. As a Jew, I don't know the Christian Bible, so I'm giving you what I am channeling about what you need to hear. So here's Psalm 31. But before I read it to you, I ask that as you listen to this, and I remind myself too, no matter where the source comes from, if the wisdom is good and applicable, I'm sure as shit going to take it. I want you to remove whatever religion you hail from your listening to this. And I want you to listen with ears that are willing to hear the message instead of focusing on the source. Psalm 31 goes like this, and I'm reading just 5 lines. It's a long psalm, so just 5 lines I have been guided to share. In you, Lord, I have taken refuge. And remember, I'm talking about complete surrender here. Let me never put to shame. Let me never be put to shame. Deliver me in your righteousness. Turn your ear to me. Come quickly to my rescue. Be my rock of refuge, a strong fortress to save me. Since you are my rock and my fortress, for the sake of your name, lead and guide me. Keep me free from the trap that is set for me, for you are my refuge. Into your hands I commit my spirit. Deliver me, Lord, my faithful God. Now, like I said, I'm not asking you to think of what sources comes from, what book, but I ask you to listen to the message. When we surrender to a higher power, truly surrender to a higher power, whether you call God, Almighty, higher power, source, doesn't matter. When you truly surrender, you will know in that moment that you have given it up to God. Surrender isn't a thinking process. You can't think yourself into surrender because it happens in the moment that you are in the highest and most intolerable point of pain that you can imagine. And you can't make yourself get there with thought. You just arrive there, and either you let go and let God, or you, die. So you're going to go through more difficulties in your life, my dear. You are going to face additional disappointment and grief, and you're going to have to make decisions that you never imagined you would have to make. We all will. You are not alone. Because you've been in those positions before, you know that time offers the beautiful and unmistakable gift of helping you heal wounds. Outside of time, healing your wounds comes down to this one common denominator: your willingness to be open to doing whatever it takes to resolve your pain and master your lesson. I pray for your health, happiness, and I pray for ease in your life. And I also send you strength if you're currently facing hardships and feel as though you can't find your way out, and you feel like there's nobody that cares and that you have no one to look out for you. I believe in you so completely. I have faith in your resilience, and I hope that by listening to this episode today, or maybe another episode for me or somebody else, that you ground yourself in the knowing that no matter what happens to you, no matter what happens in your life, no matter how much you have on the line, and no matter how much you are waiting with bated breath for life to ease up, it will. You must do your part, though. You must step up. You must either deal directly with the issues that you're facing, or you must succumb to the horrendous pain and let go and let God. So do your part, and then leave the rest on the table for the universe to do its part. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week. I wish you ease in moving through life and life's difficulties. And if you need any help whatsoever, I'm just an email or phone call away. Have a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend. And be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.